In the years that I have channeled the words from another world, words from the other side of the veil, words from another country, another planet, another race, another species. Shall we call it God? Whatever your name for God, not being hung up on whatever your label or preference is, to address what may be a higher power, source, universe, God, Jesus, Allah, Lord. Let's not be divisive about it. Let's think in a new way. Let us love each other, beginning with you, loving you, and loving each other, loving our neighbor, loving our parents and kids and friends, and showing it, telling them, I love you. I love you. Can we let love loose from us to flow? Can we live in a flow of love? Question: Does love have revelation? Does revelation that comes come in the form of love? I suggest to you the revelation comes humbly, because God, what God is the most humble of all. I ask you to be you, the real you. To see and be seen. To know and be known. So many people, I think, may live in war with themselves, a constant warfare, an internal conflict that goes on inside their mind, between their ears. We fight our own selves. We fight our bodies. We fight our mind. Our mind fights us, and we fight each other with syllables, words, actions, emotions, experiences, behavior. What has conditioned us to do all this? What if there is a flow of love? Is there a flow of life? Is there a flow of energy that transcends what we know, transcends what we have been experiencing, whether we call it God or not, joy or not? I suggest you are the creator. I suggest you are the creator of you, and that you created you. And wanted to experience your own body, the body that you created. There's a cosmic story here at work, at play. And I suggest you are coming into the knowledge of God whether you want it or not. Because it will be disseminated widely. It will be on everyone's lips. The knowledge of God, who God is, how to create God. We were a race of gods and didn't know it. Are ye not all gods, as the Psalms say? As Jesus quoted the Psalm, Psalm. Yes, I quote the Bible sometimes. I grew up in it. I was immersed in Christianity. But I loved God. And so it was the expression of my outer behavior and my inner life that I knew. But what if we have the ability to understand differently and have a better expression of love to each other and to ourselves than we have been given by the authorities, those who would rule us with ironclad rules and regulations, commandments? The God that I have come to know says, love each other. Says, you are God whether you like it or not. And if you don't like it, you can continue to exist in your own separate existence because you are the creator. You created you. You're creating you now, and you can continue to create you and live in your own reality of and corroborate it, validate it, and synthesize it with others of like mind. Are you the creator of the war against yourself? Is the beast mentioned in the Bible, the beast in the book of Revelation, your mind? Are you the Messiah of you? I suggest there's not one Messiah of the planet. There's a whole bunch. And we all become the living Christ. Living against each other no more. There's a way to live. I'm starting a school to help people live differently, to introduce other values, concepts, redefinitions, redefining life, redefining who God is, redefining what the Christian message is not. I'm leaving it to itself. But it will demean, and debase the lives of others no more who will learn, who become willing to learn who they are, not limited to the Christian sense of things, to the sins that the Christians list as sin, or the rules or regulations. I suggest to you, God originates God, and God is not loathsome to do so, nor hesitant nor reticent to speak internally about these things with you intimately and guide your heart in an educational system, in a relationship, an intimate relationship, the most intimate of all. Being in each other's mind, giving, pardon me, giving each other their mind? Will you give your mind to God, the creator, the source of all life that created all this? Or were you it? If you were it and then fell into your own creation, are you not still it? I suggest you have not severed the connection of you with the real you that it is. Oh, it gets tricky sometimes to explain and talk about these things with various terms and nuances of connotation, but we're coming into a new day. The mystery of God is finished. And those who are listening to God internally, humbly, that will learn to let God speak, I suggest to you, are going to experience the intimacy of joy and the joy of intimacy, where they begin to know the Savior is them for them. There's no Savior coming back to pass out candy and take us to Candyland. No, I'm not being facetious. I don't mean to make light of that. And yet, maybe my example's not good, but you get the idea of what I'm trying to convey. Jesus is not coming back for anybody. You are the Savior of you. If you get saved, saved from what? Saved from your own wrath that you create the conflict with because you severed from yourself. Isn't that the source of sin? Sin, sin. What lists of sin, sin, sin? There's only one sin, and that is separation. From who? You. Where you sliced you in half and gave you two brains? Or you made an appendage up here? Or what did you create? What do you want? Are you the insatiable you that simply wants to want more and more and more and never be satisfied? More money, more accolades, more influence, more this, more things, more stuff, more admiration from others, more acceptance from others. Is your ego never satisfied? Is your ego the beast that reigns against you, your authority, in your kingdom, the temple of the holy of holies between your ears, the second temple? When the first one, you have the power, authority, and invitation to recreate in you because you've never been separate from your own power, authority, and blood, lineage. The non-molecular type. And the molecular doesn't defeat it unless we succumb to a righteousness, a synthetic righteousness, or one that has just metastasized itself into us, is a belief system, a cancer that brutalizes us, closes our ears and eyes to the flow of that which really we are. Are we love? Experiencing love this day? Are you willing to? Are you willing to learn more, be more, do more? Are you willing to sit still and listen and write the internal words of God, whatever your name for God. I am not a Christian. I was a Christian, and a very devoted, diligent one, who after years of devotion in the church and thousands of hours of Bible study and prayer began to experience the communion with God that spoke, that a consciousness began to emerge within me that I became conscious of. And that consciousness was not afraid of me, and I was not afraid of it. I was not afraid of the God consciousness, and I ask you to be not afraid of the God consciousness either. To be not afraid of it speaking, communing with you. It comes in humility. It comes in love. It comes where you woo it. As a romance, two lovers become one. You joining yourself back to your transcendent self. The link was never severed. Was it broken? Hanging by a thread? The idea that God will never leave you or forsake you and is closer than your breath, how can that be? Never leave you, always where you are, always knowing what you're thinking, ever present. It's in your consciousness. And the consciousness of God will stream its consciousness into you, no matter what your name, rank, or status is, no matter what tribe or tongue you're from, no matter what your origin. I consider you the light of the world. You're the Messiah of you. You can heal this. Are you Moses? Will you lead people out of bondage in that story? Are you Abraham? Is God calling you to another country? What are you willing to know and exercise your ability, authority, and privilege to understand and operate in this day? Certainly, not limiting yourself to the words of the church or the church fathers, the forefathers of Christianity or of any religion. Will you be the living Christ this day? Men, women, boys and girls, will you grow up hearing the message that you are Christ? There's not just one Christ. Christ is a race. Christ is all. Who will be it? The Lamb slain? What do I sacrifice to operate as a Christ in the Christ life of one with the consciousness of God? I sacrifice my separation. I sacrifice my conflict, my war with myself. All those things that I want, accolades, influence, acceptance, riches, power, and glory. Do I, in fact, sacrifice all my limitations? What do I sacrifice? My isolation? My my yearning for something that truly satisfies, ending my insatiability, so that I walk everywhere with joy, that at all times I know the presence of what? A host of angels, a multitude around me, a cloud of witnesses. Oh, so much for the terminology that's used so often to obscure, obfuscate, or paint a picture that maybe was the best that the authors could do with their vocabulary at that time. Regardless, I suggest to you, you are the power of you. And to know you, the real you, takes humility. And time spent in surrender, where you begin to let what you really are commune with you in your consciousness across the veil. The intangible with the tangible, the transcendent with the molecular, the spirit with the world. Well, this is why I'm starting a school with the name, the School of the 21st Century Christ, for you to be in. Would you like to come? Would you like to help create it? Recreating you, to rejoin you with you, the forces of all creation, to create creation all over again, a new heaven and a new earth. Not being anesthetized or mesmerized by some message that keeps you placated, sitting in a pew, or just waiting for other, or abdicating your authority, responsibility, and leadership of you. I suggest there's a lot more to life. My name is Theodore Cottingham. You can reach me, Theodore Eureka, at gmail.com. My website is theodorcottingham.com. The curriculum for this school, the curriculum for the School of the 21st Century Christ was given me in the first person words of God that I surrendered to receive, write, record, transcribe, publish, put on the web, and you can search the first 2,400 messages, and there's an embedded learning system that I was given that became part of my consciousness as I wrote and recorded. So what am I doing? Am I breaking bread with you this day? Having coffee? I love you, and I go now. This is what I look like. And what am I? Am I a common Christ? Will you be a common Christ? The Christ to you. Will you be the living Christ in your shoes? That's the invitation this day. And that's why I exist, to share these words. For you to come into your power, grace, and glory as a common person. Gosh, I'm a common person. So is Jesus. Are we not all one blood? I love you and bless you. The invitation is given. Theodore Cottingham, Eureka Springs for now. School of the 21st Century Christ. I love you, bless you, and honor you. Be you with the originality of you. creating you again, a new creation to be here now. A new paradigm of love in action through the flow of a river of love that teaches us new things, new ways, where we're not just studying the paradigms of the past and the words of old. Be the living flow of information out of your voice, your pen, your tongue, your life and behavior, your values and habits this day. I love you, Theodore Cottingham, kneeling before you all to tell you I love you. I love you and I bless you this day. This is me asking you to be you, the real consciousness of the precious that you really are.